cut off?
Rear torso.
I don't have a run annihilator, so that's going to be more up to your personal preference. For my Atlases and Direwolves, I put them at like 6 or 8. I think the Direwolf is 6 and the Atlas is 8. And I just try like crazy not to let people in my rear.
Yeah, I mean, it's a game over for me if I get a real tiny fucker running circles on me, unless I can get my back to a wall.
I'm looking right now, actually. Let's see. Yeah, I have 8 on the rear of my Atlas. And for the Direwolf, that's my other big 100-tonner. I'll get Kodiaks too, I guess. It's actually 8 on the Direwolves, and then the Kodiaks. What do I run on the Kodiaks? Let's see. Oh, I run 10 on the Kodiaks. Let me bump that down a little bit, actually. I could use that on the front.
What do you think on leg armor?
I run it light. I've got... Typically what I do is I run 60 on the assaults or higher, because you always get a few ankle biters here or there that will test it. As a general rule of thumb, I run 10 to 20 points less than what's on it by default.
Okay. So, I've been running about 40 so far. I've only been leg twice since I've been playing.
Yeah, if you've only been leg twice since you started, you may want to drop some more off and then get that extra tonnage. That's really more going to be up to each person's personal preference, though, to be honest.
Okay. Well, that leaves me got some time to play around with. My front center torso is sitting at 80. I got probably 20 points to play with, though. Drop the rear on that. Rear center torso, that can be damn light, I'd imagine. Torsos soak up most.
On the Annihilator, the torsos are so large you can get away with having less rear torso armor on the center torso and putting more of it onto the front.
Okay. So I'll jump that up probably about... Yeah, it gives me about a half a ton fair weight-wise to play with. That puts me at 95-12 for...
Sounds good.
Shit, now what do I do with this extra half ton? I've got...
If you have an extra half ton, what I generally do is I'll shave armor off the legs or head, or I'll throw an extra half ton of ammo on if you got the slot.
Yeah, I've been leaving the head maxed, but that's, like I said, it's not... I've only gotten one headshot I've been playing, so I realize they are not going to be
Yeah, what I do typically on most of my mechs is I'll shrink the head down to like anywhere from 8 to 10 points of armor on the head. Sometimes I strip it off entirely, because headshots are so rare in the game.
Strictly cockpit, right?
Yeah, it's just the cockpit glass, and it's usually not even the entire cockpit. Like, here's a good example. If you look at the quick draw, I don't know if that's up for trial mech or not right now.
I'll hit it up in the store to get a look.
It's usually like one pane, like it's the centermost or the largest pane. The Cataphract is another one. It's got a big cockpit, but it's actually only the middle pane that counts. I think the Archer's the same way. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It's just the middle pane. So, really, even though most of the cockpits in this game are really big, you really, I mean, even the Mauler, for example, if you look at your Mauler, your 1R, it's that lower middle pane that counts as the cockpit. None of the rest of that glass actually counts as a cockpit shot. It's all center torso.
I gotcha. That makes sense.
So, it's really only dangerous if you overheat and somebody has the time to line up the shot. Occasionally, somebody will get lucky. I've had that happen to me as the recipient and as the person that got lucky. But that's really few and far between. It's not common at all.
Yeah, the one I got was, it was pure luck. I literally got it from, I think, somewhere around 500 meters with an AC shot. I
had shot at a Battle Master with an AC-20 one time by pure accident. I whipped up the gun. I was peeking over a hill. I threw down and fired at the same time. He backed up and he turned to look at me, and it just connected. It was just pure stupid luck. I was pretty excited though.
Yeah, you gotta love it when it happens in your favor, really. I'm
looking at my achievements right now. Since they implemented achievements in this game, which was 2-3 years ago now, or yeah, I think about 3 years ago now. Since then, I've only gotten 30 headshots. Well, 30 kills with headshots. I've had a few more, but they didn't kill, so they didn't count. I've only gotten 30 kills with headshots in the last 3 or 4 years.
So in that case, I'm not going to plan on getting off that achievement.
Yeah, it's a rare, very rare achievement, and people that have it either cheated to get it, or were really lucky, or just insanely good. One of the three. Yeah, usually, it's more luck than anything else, though.
Guillotine. I don't see getting guillotine legit without some serious workaround.
I think I know one person that got it, but she dedicated like her whole mech warrior life to headshots. She aimed only for the head. She trained on every mech in the testing grounds with friends. I mean, she really worked at it because that's what she wanted. And when she got it, she stopped playing. It was like, wow, okay.
I've had games like that where I got what I wanted out of it.
Yeah, that's what she wanted, and when she got it, she basically made a community post because she was a very popular and active member of the community. She made this big community post like, I got my achievement, I'm gone, peace out. We haven't seen her since. That's been a couple years now, I guess. I think she was part of what unit? Was it Praetorians? So, she might have been Templars. I don't remember now what unit she was with.
When it comes to case, is it, because I've noticed by the time my ammo gets blown up, I'm already in a position where I'm fucked. No way out. It's usually what happens if I get separated from the group and just get, teamed up on. But
yeah, looking at your ammo, honestly, you may want to take your ammo off your side torsos and put it in your center. I know that's kind of counterintuitive because you want to keep it out of the center because the center is the main target, but for the Annihilator, because the side torsos are so huge and people tend to shoot them first, I think you have a higher risk of ammo explosion in the side torsos than in the center for that specific mech. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes.
Otherwise, with regard to case in general, I usually don't equip it. I think it's a waste of a half ton unless you're running a mech with an insane amount of ammo. I put it on LRM boats that I have just because they have so much ammo. But other than that, I just don't run it. Mainly because I don't have enough ammo that I have to put it in the torsos, or if I do, I typically fudge and put it in the arms, and since people don't really aim for arms, they aim for torsos, I kind of get away with it.
So far, I've only run my ammo drive once in a match without either getting myself killed or other team gone already.
10-4. And the thing to remember about case is it doesn't stop your component from getting destroyed. It just prevents the leftover damage from traveling any further inwards.
Okay.
So like let's take your Annihilator. If your Annihilator AC2 ammo gets critted in your right torso, all of the leftover shells will detonate and deal internal damage to your structure. Now, hang on a second. Let me pull the picture back up.
Yeah.
So your max available, your max tonnage, your max number of points is 106 points of armor, which means that your internal health is 53. Regardless of whatever quirks or skill tree bonuses you have, your base health for that internal component is going to be 53 points. Make sense?
Yeah.
It's always your base armor divided by 2, and then it's modified by quirks and skill nodes. So let's say you don't have any quirks or skill nodes or anything like that, and it's just the 53. Well, your AC2 has what? 70 rounds, 100 rounds? I can't remember how much an AC2's got off the top of my head.
AC2 ammo is per shot. You get 75 shots.
75 shots. So 75 shots times 2 is 150 points of damage, right?
Yeah.
So you could basically lose half of that ammo by shooting it, and you still have enough ammo left in the torso that if it's critted, it'll destroy the torso with damage left over.
Okay.
So what'll happen is when the torso is destroyed, any leftover damage travels inward towards your center torso. So a case will stop the travel in that component. So let's say you have ammo in the arm, and it gets critted in the arm. The arm is destroyed, it travels inward to the torso, destroys the torso, travels inward to the center torso, and either destroys the center torso or exhausts the amount of damage, and your torso somehow survives it. I mean, it depends on how much ammo is really left. If you've got 1 or 2 AC2 rounds and it gets critted, it's not going to do a lot of damage to you.
How does it, Is there a science to how it draws ammo from different areas?
Yes. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. There's I can find on the forums. There's actually a schematic for it. Somebody mapped it. But if I'm remembering correctly, it goes head, center torso, and then I think it's right torso, right arm, right leg, left leg. I might have it mirrored. It might be left side, right side, left side, right side. But you get the idea. Yeah. I know head, then CT for certain are the first two. And then, like I said, it's either right torso, left torso, or it's left torso, right torso. And then it's just, staggers, arm, leg. Your legs are the last ones to utilize the ammunition. But since legs are also typically ignored, the legs and the head tend to be the safest place to put ammo.
Okay. I posted a fresh shot. Look at what I just switched around. Give it a peek now.
Yeah, that looks really good to me. You might even go less on your rear armor for your center torso. Because if you look, you have 44 points of armor available. You could punch that up even further if you took another double heat sink off. And since your rear CT is so small, again, side torso is probably going to get shot first. You could probably shrink that down to 8 as well and put the extra tonnage on the front, or armor points on the front. But that's up to you. Really, that's going to come down to you fine-tuning it over time as you play.
Yeah, find out where I'm getting, where my playstyle gets me shot.
Exactly. There's not really a right or wrong answer. I can give you some advice on what I think is good or what I personally would do, but
I like it.
I'm not you, so
I get a better idea on now what standard kind of experienced player runs, so I can use that to kind of fine tune around my playstyle.
Sounds good. And I started out running my mechs with much higher rear torso armor, and over the years I shrunk it down. In fact, it wasn't until this year I shrunk it down to like 6 points of armor on some of my mechs. I've been very, very, very slowly over time removing a point here, a point there, until eventually I suddenly realized all my mechs are down to like 6 or 8 points of armor in the rear. I know some people that run even less, but I like to run about that many because I like to be able to do a complete spin in place if I have to. Like if my guns are charging, I like to spin and just to shield and be able to absorb some glancing damage as I do so.
Yeah, I've started to kind of play around with that technique when I'm getting missile bombarded like crazy.
I find it's helpful in a brawl because people will think your rear torso armor is less, so they'll take the shot, but you have more on there than you thought. And you can get them to shoot at sometimes a component that's fairly healthy instead of the crippled up other component because they take the shot of opportunity. But also because sometimes when you're charging your guns and stuff, you just have to shield. And you get back to that corner where you can't shield anymore in that direction without spinning around. And when you're in that situation, you're pressed pretty hard.
Well, I definitely got a build I'm looking to play with now. Yeah, I'm working on kind of farming up credits because I made some credit decisions.
10-4.
Swapping armor and heat sinks expensive fuck initially.
Well, if you don't mind spending a little bit on the game, I recommend premium time. That's a pretty handy way to.
Yeah, no, I was on that pretty.
10-4.
I got a 30 off one of my mech packs. I believe the Atlas mech pack.
Nice.
And also, I bought my two smaller mechs, one of the medium packs, to get the extra 30 days.
Yeah, the 30% will stack with the 50% from premium time, which earn you 80% bonus. And then when they have the Mech Warrior tournaments that roll around, it's good to watch for the tournament supporter pack because that'll give you a 10% bonus up to the tournament. And they'll usually announce it like 3 or 4 months in advance. So for 3 or 4 months, you can get an extra 10% for $10 basically, which isn't that bad.
Yeah, that's.
And that's not just that. You also get some like cosmetic items and like I got a free paint scheme. They make it a pretty nice little pack. It's very worthwhile to get it, I think. One of the better values in the game. Yeah. But if you run that with a 30% mech and with your premium time, it all stacks out to 90% bonus, which is really nice.
Yeah, I cleared up on that 998 damage. I got like 300.
Sweet.
And that wasn't even running my hero mech. It's got the 30 bonus, so that was pretty.
Also, don't forget the reward system in the game will reward certain actions with C-builds. So like if you shoot a mech, I think it's 30 points of damage or better. And then you disengage, like you shoot them, and then you don't shoot them for like 5 seconds. It counts as a hit and run.
Okay, I didn't quite figure out how the hit and runs work, but I get them more often.
Right. If you basically shoot somebody, and then you wait a few moments before you shoot them again, like you engage, and then you disengage before you re-engage, that counts as a hit and run. It's more common to have those with mediums, lights and mediums, because you're hitting and pulling out, than it is with heavies and assaults, because you're typically more sustained. But it is nice, because like if you see a guy across the stadium, there's a big fight going, there's one guy way out there, you might hit him with your LBs, for example, your quad LBs, your AC2s with just one burst and deal 30 or 40 points of damage at that range. And then you ignore him and go back to shooting the guys close to you, and you get a hit and run off that one guy.
So far, my biggest money increase has been I get a lot of flanking, mostly because I'm slow. So I tend to get to the battle after everyone's already. And so I usually aim for whenever I see back or a side. And I get a lot of flank boots off that.
Flanking, yeah, is basically whenever you shoot somebody in the rear torso.
And those LBXs are really nice because even if I'm shooting at the side of them, the rounds seem to scrape the back quite a bit. So
yes, they do. Also, because you're slow, you'll have trouble with this one. But lance in formation is when I think it's 200 meters or 100 meters. I can't remember without looking it up. It's 1 or 200 meters, whichever it is. But if you're that far away from the rest of your team, you and all four of you are in a radius of that size, you get a lance in formation bonus, which is a pretty nice little perk.
Yeah, I've seen that one from time to time. Usually I end up separated from my lance.
What's nice about it is it doesn't have to be all four of you. So like let's say 2 of your lance members get killed.
Yeah.
Then all you got to do is stick close to your last guy, and you still get it. In fact, it'll even be retroactive. So like if you or I shouldn't say retroactive, it'll change depending on your lance. So let's say the fight goes late, there's some downtimes, the two sides are kind of resting for a sec, probing, looking for each other. It's a risk because you never know when the enemy will pop up. But if you take that second, you can actually, let's say there's 2 of you left and 2 different lances, you can drag yourself into the same lance, and if you're running along together, you'll start accruing lance and formation bonuses.
Okay.
It's kind of a neat little trick to pick up a few extra C bills and XP points here and there.
Yeah, the grind is definitely real on this, but I don't know, something I can do. I'm a big Warframe player and put a lot of grind in, so.
10-4. This game is pretty grindy, but the nice thing about it is there's really no pay-to-win elements. Most of the mechs that are premium mechs are subpar or on par with the free mechs. In fact, most of the best mechs are free mechs in the game, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that was one of the few things that really kind of disappointed me when I started. With a lot of my old favorites are not necessarily great. Like I immediately headed for Supernova.
Yeah, Supernova.
But it's so pure lasered. I can't justify it because I'm not a lit yet.
Yeah, the Supernova is kind of a niche mech. Lots of frontal firepower, or if you run the ATM or Element version, it's frightening with those 2 versions as well. But it is really a niche mech that, like, it doesn't appeal to me at all, for example. Yeah, I tend to favor more of the ballistic mechs. I like the ballistics, personally. If you haven't tried it yet, you might like the 6 Rack 2 King Crab.
I played around with the Trial King Crab. It wasn't terrible, but it is unfortunately one I don't see myself buying just yet.
It's a tricky one because it's so large. It's really easy to hit it, even if you're like at an angle above it. I mean, the whole head, if you're looking down at it, is torso basically. I mean, it's really easy to pop it. But what's cool is you put all the ballistics in the arms, and it's just a lot of fun to play. I think you can get the same build though with your Annihilator if you really wanted to. But the 6 Rack 2s are fun. Their DPS isn't as good as other guns in the game, and of course you have to have a lot of face time to deal damage with them.
Give me just 1 second.
Sure thing.